Who's next, please?
Hiya, yeah, can I get, is it wheat? I get wheat.
Yeah. One of those. Yeah, 6 inch or foot long.
Go for the big one.
Okay. And what do you want on it?
Okay, have you got any queer trans ladies?
Yeah. We've got some of that. We can put some of that on.
Okay, yeah, so I'll get the large one, two queer trans ladies with things to talk about, like listen things. Have you got any listen things?
Yeah. We can put some of those on.
Some watch stuff.
Yeah.
A bit of plates. And then for for like a sauce, if I could have like the silly voices sauce, yeah, and a cookie.
I think we can do that. Cheese and toasted.
Toasted no cheese, please.
Toasted no cheese. Okay. It's gonna be a lot to wedge in there, but I think we can make you a queer and pleasant strangers.
Awesome. Greetings, strangers, queer and pleasant. I'm not Laura Kate Dale.
And I'm not Jane Aerith Magnet, and welcome to another episode of Queer and Pleasant Strangers, that podcast where two queer trans ladies have a bit of a catch-up and a giggle and get up. Is what we've been doing in the week, and we relay that to each other.
And to the people.
And to the people. To each other and the microphone that represents the people.
Hello, microphone that represents the lovely people. Hi!
How are you doing this week, Jane?
I'm alright. I went and got stabbed in the arm earlier.
Yeah, you're hopefully gonna not get ill.
Hopefully not.
Hopefully we'll do the thing and prevent you from getting the ill and add to herd immunity.
Yeah.
Vaccines and immunisations are good.
Mm-hmm. Especially when someone else is paying for it.
Well, that too.
So yeah, I've had my fluid jab.
Hooray!
Yay! So yeah, what about you? You've been doing lots of stuff.
Yeah, it's been a busy old time. Lots of late nights, lots of falling asleep in the daytime. We had a very busy weekend. We went and had a night out at the weekend.
I did, and I'm still exhausted.
Yeah, this is always the way it goes. We go and we're gonna have a great time. And we do have a great time. But we arrive home at 7 a.m. from a night of wild adventures and then spend several days trying to recover.
Yeah, I mean, it's usually not till sort of Wednesday or Thursday that it becomes a problem, but this week, because I had to get up early yesterday because of my proposed flu jab, and then 15 minutes before I was due to be there, I got a phone call from them going, sorry, all our anaphylaxis medication has been recalled, so we can't give it to you today, just in case there's a problem. Can you come in tomorrow? I was like, and then I had to get up early again today.
I spent the weekend just falling asleep every now and then for 5 minutes and having to go, what's going on, where am I? But I'm alright now, I think.
Well, the answer to that question will come up later.
Yes.
You were in a very strange place.
I was in a very strange place that isn't helped by falling asleep.
No, it is
so,
not.
Shall we start with what we've played this week? Because I think that's probably going to be one of the fairly light sections of the week.
It is. Shockingly, that is our least busy thing, I think.
Yeah. What have you been playing this week?
Stardew Valley.
Lots of Stardew Valley.
Also Stardew Valley, and some Stardew Valley with a bit of Stardew Valley on top. I'm hoping to play some more Stardew Valley later tonight, depending how I'm feeling.
You are on your first year still, I believe.
No, I've just started year 2.
Well,
it is the first of spring on year 2.
Last I knew, you were in midwinter. How did your first year go?
It was all right. I got to the sort of the first few weeks of winter, and I thought, oh yeah, I've got loads of cash kicking about. My mayonnaise business is going really well. I'm selling a grand's worth of mayo a day. I think that's pretty good. My fishing game is super improved, and I'm all ready to get going for the new year. I've got plenty of oars in. I'm ready to get some sprinklers so that I know that next year it's going to be a lot more easy to just do the thing. It's going to be good in that respect. And then, I started upgrading my equipment as well. I was like, well, I better get that done before the new year, and I better get that done before the new year. And I went into the new year with about 8.5 grand, where I'd basically had at one point somewhere in the region of about 40k.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, I've dialed that back a bit. And then spring came, and I've gone from all these beautiful, nice, white, crisp snow and ice to there's rocks everywhere that weren't there the day before,
Yes.
and there's shrubs everywhere that weren't there.
You
the day
have to
before.
deal with winter cleanup as well as, I'd better get planting things again now.
Yep. And
You're right back into it.
You can't really prepare for that.
Yeah.
Like, you can't, short of having bought everything you need from the day before, from the year before, you can't really sort of prepare. You can't sort of pre-till any of the fields. It's just like, chaos happen.
There's only so far ahead of yourself you can get in Stardew Valley.
Yeah, especially that winter to spring leap. It's
Yes.
quite a big one.
Like, you can in spring you can prep for summer, in summer you can prep for autumn you can prep for winter. Winter to spring is just no, we've taken the leap, get going.
Yeah, it feels like having to start the whole thing again almost.
Yeah.
But I am
in
ready.
an okay way?
Yeah, I think so. Like, I've got more money, I've got more setup. I've found like at least one star fruit, so
Yeah.
I've got a little bit more stamina than I had. So I've also got like a lot of my stats up. I think my foraging. My farming's up to like level 9 now out of 10. So
you're restarting the loop, but from a much better starting position.
yeah. I think even if I don't manage to get everything sort of sorted on the first day, I think by day 2 I will certainly have everything sort of going. And maybe I will even be able to let all my chickens that I've named after Sexy Potatoes.
No.
Those are my Twitch listeners for anyone who doesn't follow my Twitch. Twitch.tv/Janiac. That's J-A-N-I-A-C.
The Sexy Potatoes are a lovely community.
Sexy Potato Squad are the nicest of communities.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, what have you been playing?
I've been playing 2 things. One of them is I'm still playing Pokemon. I'm doing that big shiny hunt.
Quite right, too.
I'm still on Route 1 trying to get all of my shinies, but I'm nearly done at this point on Route 1. So there's like 4 primary Pokemon that I've been trying to get like as shinies plus all their evolutions on Route 1. There is the squirrel, the fox, the sheep, and the bird. And for the bird, I now have all 3 steps of its evolution line. I have 3 shinies and I've evolved some of them up. For the squirrel, I now have the squirrel and its evolution, the big sort of chubby chipmunk. For the fox and the sheep, I have 1 shiny of each. I need to get a 2nd shiny of each so that I can evolve them. Mm-hmm. But like, that's 2 shinies left, I believe, and I will have all of the Generation 8 new shinies from that route in all of their evolution forms. So, like, I'm making pretty good progress on there.
Nice.
I've been doing some breeding to try and get a shiny score bunny. I'm like 150, 200 eggs deep. No shiny yet, but I'll keep plugging away at that over time. And I'm still very much enjoying the loop. I constantly feel like if I find myself getting bored or losing focus on the shiny hunt, there's plenty of other things I can do. Like, I can swap from the loops around Route 1 to doing my eggs, or maybe go do a circuit of all the raids in the wild area. There's plenty of stuff that pops up that I can sort of cycle between to keep myself engaged. So, yeah. Have you played anything else?
No.
The only other thing I started playing, just because I got sent code for it and I was really curious what the quality of the port was like, is Alien Isolation.
Ooh, how'd that port do?
That Switch port is fantastic.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't have been like too interested to check out the port, because like, you know how like modern generation game ports to Switch usually go. It's like, yeah, this is totally fine and serviceable. If this is your only way to play it, you will probably have a fine time playing it.
I expect it to be a bit like Doom 2016.
Yeah.
Occasionally you'll get a bit of slow down or frame drop.
And if you look at the 2 side by side, you can probably go, yeah, I can see which of these is the inferior version.
Basically okay.
I'd seen Digital Foundry, who are Eurogamers, like tech analysis people for video games, who they know their stuff. They ran the headline, Alien Isolation looks better on Switch than on PS4.
Wowza.
And I was like,
that's quite
that's quite a claim to make.
Yeah.
So I checked out the port, and I mean, yeah. So they've turned off some little visual effects here and there that honestly don't make that much of a difference.
Okay.
And a lot of the whatever they've done with the textures means that like straight edges look a lot crisper on the Switch port. It you know, the little concessions it's made don't really make as much of, like, don't make a huge negative impact, but the things they've improved in the time since the PS4 version came out make it look noticeably nicer.
Wow.
It is a rare Switch port where I will say, this isn't just if you don't have another console to play it on or you want to play it on handheld, it's just, no, this is just the game and it looks and runs just as good, which is really nice.
This isn't just any Alien Isolation. This is Nintendo Switch Alien Isolation.
Yeah, so this I don't know when I'm going to have the time to properly play through it again, but I jumped in long enough to go, this is a really nice looking port that runs really nicely and has 0 performance issues and no major load times. That's really nice. If I want to replay this game at some point, which I've been thinking about it for a while, this is probably what I'll play it on, which is really nice. I think that's everything we've played this week.
I fear it is,
It's
actually.
been really light on played this week.
We've not really had a lot of time for play because we went out at the weekend.
Yeah,
we had a really busy, like, evening time.
Yeah, we had lots of busy evenings and lazy weekends, so, should we move on then? Is it time for this?
It's time for this.
Come on in.
Thank you.
So, you're here for our dating service, correct?
Yes, I've never really done anything like this before. I don't really know what to expect.
Well, that's alright. We'll talk you all through it. Just tell us a little about yourself.
Okay, well, I'm nearly 40. I'm recently single again. I'm looking to just meet somebody sort of nice and fun that, you know, we can just have a nice time, maybe get to know each other, and just someone that shares my values and views. Someone really nice and fun.
I'm sure that's doable. Well, we'll just need to find out a little bit more about the sort of things you like and you don't like, and we'll sort of go from there, I suppose.
Awesome, thank you.
So, in terms of your preferences, sort of age?
I don't mind. I mean, obviously, I think sort of over 21.
Height?
I don't really mind.
Looks?
Well, I mean, good arms, good strong arms that can wrap me tight and hold me close.
Yeah. Any gender preferences?
No, not really. Just as many arms as possible. Suckers, preferably with the suckers.
Suckered arms.
And if they could be slightly slimy as well, I'd be very into that.
We tend to have human people using our dating service, and I'm not aware of any of them having
Don't have
suckers.
anything more eldritch, anything more tentacly.
I mean, not officially on the books, but
you can get me the good big dark cuddles.
I can draw some dark pentagrams on the floor behind my desk and see what we can find.
Okay, let's get chanting. Okay, so we've recently put out feelers about our latest product. You may remember we had breakfast in a can, which was,
yes.
I believe there was beans, little bitty burgers and sausages.
There's a bit of mushrooms.
Some little eggy bits in there.
Yes.
So thinking something more expansive to that. So, having gone with breakfast in a can, perhaps we could move on to maybe another meal. How about dinner?
Oh, yes, I suppose. Is there a generic dinner that we could base dinner in a can on?
Well, I mean, a popular one would be like a roast.
suppose.
So we could have like a roast dinner in there, you know, and then maybe what's a good starter that would go with that? How about like some macaroni and cheese as a starter? Or a soup.
In the same can?
Yes, I mean, obviously all in a can.
Yes.
All in a can, we'll just layer it, it'll be fine.
I suppose.
So we get some, like, a soup starter or macaroni. We'll do some variety.
Yes.
Then we'll have, like, a meat, potatoes, gravy, and, well, I mean, some vegetables, you know, variety of vegetables, maybe some broccoli, some carrots, things like that. And then, obviously, once we get down to the bottom layer, we could perhaps put in, like, maybe a jam sponge or something like that, or a chocolate gatto.
And you don't have any fears about cross-contamination?
I mean, they'll all be in the same can. It'll probably be fine. But we'll layer it in such a way that it generally stays all sort of separate.
I think you're being very ambitious. I mean, can we at least put the dessert at the top so that the liquid doesn't trickle down and reach the dessert?
Are you concerned about the trickle-down economics of the situation?
I suppose so.
Well, okay, so we'll have the soup on top instead of the chocolate. Is that...
No,
the soup on the bottom.
Soup at the bottom.
Right. And then the chocolate gâteau or the jam sponge. So you're not concerned about the jam going through at all?
The jam's more sort of thick and gloopy. I think it's less likely to soak through, and I think if you have soup at the top, the whole thing's just going to get drenched in soup.
Okay, so for our next project, after that, we were thinking maybe next year, if this is a success, we move on to just a day in a can.
What? So breakfast, lunch, and dinner and dessert in a
can?
Yeah,
so some toast, maybe a breakfast meat of some sort, like a slice of Canadian bacon, like one of those. I mean, they already do round eggs, so it's perfect for a can.
I suppose.
And then, so toast, maybe some, jam and butter in there and things. And then we'll move on to lunch. We could have, again, more toast, some beans, perhaps, a beans on toast, something like that. Maybe a soup again. We do a good soup. Maybe a roll of some sort, a crusty bap. And then, move on to the dinner. Again, we could have, spaghetti bolognese. We put spaghetti bolognese in a can before.
So I have many opinions about this.
Mm-hmm.
I think you're onto something, because I'm pretty sure if we put all of these meals in a can, we will at least get people to buy it on the basis that it's a terrible idea and they're fascinated by it and they want to buy it as an impulse purchase.
So, what have you put in your eyes?
Oh, we put so much in our eyes.
So much in our eyes. Well, I mean, we put one show in our eyes.
We put a lot of... Well, I put several shows in my eyes.
Yeah, but we put one.
Should we talk about the one that we've been watching together, the big one?
Yeah, so after I've been sort of talking about a thing I adjacently watched recently.
Yeah, you recently talked about that Twin Peaks documentary you watched.
Yeah.
So, here's my awareness of Twin Peaks. I knew conceptually what it is about, and I have watched some episodes from the beginning of the show in the past, and the issue I have with Twin Peaks is I always get a little bit daunted by jumping into it solo, because
there's a lot of people.
There's a lot of people, a lot of characters, and a lot of plot threads happening, and there's a lot of stuff in Twin Peaks.
A lot of mystery, a lot of, interweaving plot threads.
And the fact that, years after it finished, people were still discussing over mysteries, I was like, this is a thing that I just didn't feel up to watching by myself. So I was like, Jane's pretty confident in her Twin Peaks. I'm going to use Jane as basically my shepherd to guide me through Twin Peaks, that I can occasionally just go, Jane, can you pause
and tell me what just happened?
And then I'll go, okay, what happened? Who was that? What was going on? What was that? Or to babble my inane theories out until they're proven completely wrong.
Theories? Good theories based on the information that you are provided.
Yeah. So we made it a decent way into Twin Peaks over a weekend. We watched all of season 1, and how far into season 2 are we? Do we know what episode number?
I think we just watched episode 13 from season 2.
Yeah, so we know the mystery of what happened to Laura Palmer.
Yeah, sadly.
Yeah, so we know that. We have met the trans character.
We have?
Denise
Bryson.
Yeah, who... Can we just stop and say, so well handled?
For 1989.
For 1989, I would struggle to fault this as a 1989.
By comparison to a lot of the stuff, and things that came well after
There's
it.
stuff that came decades later. There's stuff that came in the 2000s or early 2010s that didn't do it this well.
Yeah. It's not the best in the world.
No, but you could maybe quibble that's a cis man playing a trans woman, etc.
Is it? Wait, I mean, that is never specifically said.
Okay, yeah.
how Denise identifies, apart
Yeah.
from call me Denise.
Yeah,
That is my name.
yeah, and these are new pronouns.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, we haven't even had pronouns. They've never mentioned pronouns.
Well, Denise uses she/her pronouns.
For herself, but has never corrected anyone.
Yeah.
And I suppose that could be an entirely different issue. But a lot of the stuff in that has been pretty good. There was a couple of iffy things with some of the local police at the very beginning.
Yeah.
Who made a couple of comments.
But it's never like the characters who are like your Dale Cooper, for example, who is the show's bastion of like niceness and moral character and the good person who
was like,
what they're doing.
Okay, I'll call you that. If that is your name now, I will go use that.
Yeah.
I think he slipped once, was corrected, and has been, yep, you're absolutely right.
Yeah, no, he doesn't make a big deal out of when he's corrected after slipping up.
Yep.
He does the thing of just, oops, sorry about that, and doesn't slip up again.
Yeah.
I think the description given of, like, basically, hey, so this isn't a thing I planned on, but it happened in the course of a case, and suddenly I realised I felt more comfortable, so here I am now.
Yep.
It's just like...
If anything, I would say I think this representation of Denise is better handled than it is in Twin Peaks The Return.
Probably.
There are some things said in that scene that just make me go, it didn't need to, though, at all.
Yeah, well, we'll see when the return happens. We'll get there eventually, but
yeah, as I've said several times before, it's not the best, but for the time, I think it's really fucking good.
It's really forward thinking for when it was released. Yeah. Well done to the writers, and who is it? David Duchovny?
David Duchovny plays Agent Bryson.
But yeah, no, Twin Peaks is how to explain. I'm trying to work out how I would explain Twin Peaks right now to someone who hasn't watched it, which is most of what I knew of Twin Peaks before watching it was surreal murder mystery.
People know about the Red Room. People know about the talking backwards stuff.
Yeah, but it's that paired with sort of there is a murder to solve. Whereas, at least for the first season and a half, so much more of it is lightly parodying sort of American
soap dramas.
80s soap dramas. Yes. That does eventually all somewhat tie into the mystery, but it's so much more of it is in no way supernatural and is just about the people and the drama between the people in this town. Yeah. And I was almost caught off guard when the supernaturally type things were happening. The sort of the things like the Red Room and some of the stuff around the time that Laura Palmer's stuff happens.
I think some of that helps it work better though, by grounding it in this very quote unquote normal town.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone's got their problems, but that's how humans be.
It did put me in this weird position, though, where, trying to sort of predict what the solution to the big Laura Palmer storyline was going to be, I was sat there going, I was trying to come up with completely non-otherworldly, non-weird, real-world solutions to what had happened.
Yes. And that's not unreasonable.
No, and then there's this 4 or 5 episode stretch toward the start to middle of season 1 where it's oh, did that child just magically steal a handful
season
of
2.
Season 2, sort of beginning to mid of season 2, where it's did that child literally use magic to steal creamed corn off a plate?
Creamed corn, everybody.
Yeah, or there's a lot of am I supposed to take this as a literal thing that has just occurred, or is this a
metaphor?
Is this
real? Is this a dream?
Yeah, there's a lot of very early on a character has a vision of someone doing a crime, and I was there that's just them filling in the blanks in their head of what they imagine might have happened because they're scared, and it's oh no, was that maybe a literal vision of a real person? What? It throws its weird supernatural stuff at you so out of left field after such a lengthy build up of this is just a slow building town-based relationship drama.
Yeah, and I think it's a terrible shame that they made David Lynch, because we've been watching it with the Log Lady intros.
Yeah.
When I watched it originally, I had it on VHS and we didn't have the Log Lady intros. So for me, and I think this is the first time I've watched them all,
Yeah.
specifically with the episodes. So it's been interesting, especially the one where we have the final reveal of who Laura Palmer's killer is.
Yes.
Because that feels
Oh.
like just David Lynch going snark, snark, snark.
Yes.
Specifically.
So
Do
for
you want the
anyone
answers? No, you don't.
For anyone who's not seen Twin Peaks, there's this woman called the Log Lady. She walks around, she has a log. She sort of carries it a bit like a baby. And yeah, there is a version of Twin Peaks you can watch where she introduces every episode just cryptically talking at you and saying stuff that will probably leave you more confused than it will answer anything.
Which is how it was broadcast
Yeah.
in the US.
But yes, the episode where, like, here's who killed Laura Palmer happens, the whole intro is basically,
Do you want the answers?
hey, mysteries are great, and then sometimes you find out the answers to mysteries and they're not mysteries anymore, and that kind of ruins everything, huh? Wouldn't it be a shame if we had to know the answers to mysteries? Wouldn't life be better if sometimes mysteries stayed mysteries and weren't forced to come out into the open?
Right.
Like, it really feels like David Lynch just sat there like, I don't fucking want to have to do
Fuck
this,
you!
but fine.
Fuck the studio! Fuck
it's-
all of this bollocks!
It's so strange.
Yeah.
But like, I'm enjoying Twin Peaks. I'm enthralled by it. I kind of just keep wanting to keep going.
The next bit is a bit of a slog because we have to get through. Lynch is upset with the studio and it has not directed an episode and at this point they are shunting it all around the schedule so no one can even watch the fucking thing. So gone is the people can talk around it around the water cooler.
Yeah.
And I think that's been quite nice, the fact that we've sort of watched like a chunk of it and then maybe gone for a walk or something and had a chat.
Every now and then I've just been like, okay, let's stop so I can decompress and talk through what I've seen. Because there's a lot happening,
I need a moment to theorise.
I need, or just to process everything, because it's such a dense show in terms of stuff happening.
Yeah, and the sheer number of... I would be interested to know how many characters there are, like, total. I think I saw a listing somewhere that said including the return, there's something like 140 people involved. Like, named characters. I don't know if that's accurate. Yeah, it's a fun show. We are getting into that bit of a slog now. The sort of second half of Series 2. Right up until the really weird shit happens right at the end of Season 2. And then the show gets cancelled.
I have no idea what to expect out of this show, but we'll come back to you probably next week with more Twin Peaks thoughts, I suspect.
Probably, perhaps we will have finished the original run.
Yeah, and made it to the return.
Yeah, well, we'll watch Firewalk with me first.
Oh, yes.
We'll
Firewalk
watch the
with me.
4.5 hour cut of
Of
Firewalk.
course we will, yeah. If we're gonna do this, we've got to see everything.
Yeah, and then I guess we can watch the return. And if you want, you can. I can see if I've still got the audiobook somewhere.
We'll take it a step at a time. We'll see what there is and what time we have.
And then, if you care or not, we can sit down and watch a 4-hour documentary about it.
I suspect that maybe not the instant that I finish watching it, but I feel like that documentary will be required viewing at some point.
Well, the thing is, like, I would treat that pretty much as a bookend. When you've said,
Yeah.
I've had enough of pondering and wondering and theorising, and I'm ready to just go, give me an answer now.
Yeah.
So, maybe if you decide you want to watch it again in a couple of years,
We'll
don't
see.
watch it. But
Yeah,
like,
we'll work it out. We'll see.
I'm having fun having watched it going, oh my god.
Well, it hasn't ruined the ability for you to have a rewatch.
No, I've actually been sort of sitting there going, oh, that is that thing, and that is that thing, and it is doing the thing it mentioned, and we're talking about that. And then there was that, there is a line that is repeated multiple times in The Return, in in episode 8, which is the one that everyone conclusively goes, "What the fuck just happened?" And it just randomly came up in an episode at the sort of beginning of season 2, and I just burst out laughing, and you were like, "What? What happened?" I was like, "It's a whole thing."
I am intrigued to go further down the rabbit hole.
Mm-hmm.
What about you? What else have you watched this week?
We watched another thing together.
Yeah?
A very special thing together.
Yeah?
Steven Universe Future!
Yeah, the epilogue final season of Steven Universe had its first batch of 4 episodes go up.
Stephen Bomb.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm ready for this show to end. I have all my many feelings about it, but yeah, how did you feel about this batch of 4?
It's interesting. Stephen's growing.
It's a lot of Stephen trying to work out what his place in the world is now that the world doesn't need saving. Like, we're gonna talk lightly about spoilers for Steven Universe. Like, we won't talk about any specifics, but we'll probably talk about general themes and topics of episodes.
And if you haven't seen the movie or most of the last season, there will be spoilers.
We'll talk about this sort of with the knowledge of coming into this being up to date on Steven Universe other than future.
Mm-hmm.
We're getting like little bits of closure on a lot of plot threads from the show. Things like, Jasper, what's up with you? You got uncorrupted and then haven't really shown up since. What do you do with a whole bunch of gems who now are just hanging out on Earth? What's their life purpose now?
And look at the crystal gems now that they don't have to fight. What are they up to?
Yeah. I think my favourite of that batch of episodes may well be the episode where people are dealing with the unbubbled rose quartzes.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone's suddenly having to go, oh, we have feelings we haven't processed properly that we have to deal with now.
Yup.
I really respect that the show is continuing to do a thing it's been doing for a while of dismantling this sort of perfect image that they started with for rose quartz, for pink. I think this episode probably goes the furthest out of any so far in the show of, oh yeah, she was a real bad person, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Like, they're really pushing that line of, what sort of things did she used to do?
Yeah.
Before she was a better person, what harm did she inflict upon people?
Yes, and what of Pink resides within Stephen?
Yeah.
That is still perhaps untapped.
Yeah, there is definitely... I hope that this gets further explored in Steven Universe Future. I feel like it's going to be a thing. Sometimes people inherit aspects of their parents that they don't necessarily like. Like, their parents might have some negative personality traits that, their kids end up with and don't like that they have, and that definitely feels like a potential plot being explored here of that is something that was a part of one of your parents that you sort of carry with you.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to work out if you can deal with it better than they did.
So what else have you watched?
I've watched a bunch of things.
Ooh.
I have been finishing rewatching through Haikyuu, which is that volleyball anime I've been watching for a bit. So yeah, I really enjoy Haikyuu. I know I've talked about this the last couple of weeks. I really like the whole trying to come together as people and understand each other and covering for each other's weaknesses and becoming this whole happy little lovely supportive family that just want to have fun doing sports together with victory as a means to an end. I just love that as a whole conceit for a show. Season 3 of Haikyuu is interesting because it's much shorter than the first 2 seasons, and the entire season is a single volleyball match over 10 episodes.
Wowza.
Yeah, it is the final match of their current tournament. That's basically this is the team that's expected to go to nationals. You can go and play at the national level if you can beat this real big team. And without talking about how it ends, it's a really lovely little journey, and I I wouldn't want this to be every season of Haikyuu. I know that season 4 is coming soon and it's going to be very differently paced, but I wouldn't want every season of Haikyuu to be this. But it was really nice to just really slow down and take the time to properly explore such a sort of pivotal moment in the story.
Yeah.
And to give it its proper breathing room.
Mhm.
So yeah, that was something I've been rewatching while making notes for a work thing. Have you watched anything else, or shall I rattle off some more of mine?
No, that is all me.
Okay, so I've got a couple of other things. On the sports anime track, I've been watching even more sports anime. I've been watching Yuri on Ice, which is an ice skating anime.
I've heard of that.
Yeah, it's an ice skating anime that's explicitly gay, and it's really sweet and lovely, and it sets all my gay feelings off. But the short synopsis of what the basic plot is there is a Japanese skater who managed to make it to the World Championships and basically just completely loses his nerve and comes in last place. He sort of embarrasses himself and he's too ashamed to go back to competitive skating, and he ends up accidentally catching the attention of his idol, the 5 years in a row world champion skater, because someone videos him practicing one of this guy's routines in his home skating rink when, he's not scared and intimidated by the crowds, and he pulls it off perfectly. And this skater basically shows up and goes, "I'm taking a year off my professional career, I want to coach you." And it's basically just this very, very accomplished skater trying to build up the confidence of this person who, you're incredibly talented, but you don't believe in yourself. I see something beautiful in you. I wanna nurture you to believe in yourself the way I believe in you. And it's really sweet and lovely and gay. And unlike something like Haikyuu or Free, some of the sports anime I've talked about before that tend to really slow down and go here's one hit of a ball and we'll do slow motion and here's what's going on in the person's head and really stretch out some things longer than it would naturally take. Yuri on Ice is only 12 episodes for its first season, and it really has a consistent fast pacing to it.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, beyond the first couple of episodes of setup, each pair of episodes is, okay, we're going to the next bit of qualifying for the tournament. The first episode is everyone doing their short routines. The next episode is everyone doing their freestyle routines. Then we've got the sort of fallout and lead into the next episode. On it moves. It's got a much faster pacing, and when it comes to the actual sport being done, it's largely in real time. People doing figure skating to music, but you'll still get bits of intercut, this is what's going on in their head to give you context, because I don't know what makes good figure skating or not, so if something gets fumbled, there will be an explanation of that's what's going on, and it helps me to still be able to be engaged in what's happening. There's just enough here is the emotional stuff and the rule stuff of what is happening, but also just get to sit for 3 minutes and watch a nice figure skating routine to some really sweet music, and then everyone just has feelings, and it's really sweet. It's a really lovely show. I think it's probably one of the most easily recommendable sports animes for people who may not be familiar with the genre, in that it doesn't waste any of your time, and over the course of 12 pretty short episodes, it gets its whole arc out and goes this is what a sports anime arc is. This is what you can usually expect from this sort of genre. Mm-hmm. It's really sweet, and I really want another season of Yuri on Ice. It's lovely.
You're lovely.
Oh, thank you. Did I watch anything else? I can't remember if this was this week, but we finished watching Living With Yourself.
Yeah, I think that was this week.
Yeah, that's that.
I'd quite forgotten.
It's that Paul Rudd.
Too many Rudds.
Too many Paul Rudds show we were watching on Netflix last week. I think the place where it ended was satisfying. That show could end there, or it could have another season, and I'd be fine with either. I think it wasn't necessarily the most surprising end point, but it was satisfying, I thought.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah.
It was an interesting story. It all blew up a little bit in my Discord the other day. I think possibly yesterday. There were a few people talking about it, and the fact that they felt that the Rudds were bad people. Because essentially, well, not just because they were just awful to each other and their wife. I don't. There's a lot of philosophy around that. You might need to discuss.
The wife considers only one of the Pauls to be married to her, which
Miles, I think.
Pardon?
Miles, I think.
Yes.
The thing was that they were arguing was that essentially they are complicit in the spa mass murdering people.
Yeah.
Because the originals are all dead.
Yeah.
But I argue that it's the transporter problem. It's the Star Trek thing about if your body is destroyed, but there is a perfectly functional copy of you off somewhere else, living and breathing and fine.
But as we've seen, it's not exactly you. It's not a one-to-one of you. That I think that's where it differs from the transporter problem, is you've got both copies of the person here to go, they are demonstrably different people from the moment that the transport, as it were, happens.
There have been episodes where that's happened, where like a copy's been left in a pattern buffer somewhere, and there's another Riker, or I think there was another someone else as well at some point.
Yeah, but usually in those, both are the same. You don't usually get. Do you
not at all.
Get, like major differences?
Yeah, huge differences.
Yeah, fair enough.
They go off and become whole other people.
Well, I feel like go off and become whole other people is different too. From the moment of the transporter, they are now inherently very different. But yeah, I agree with you that they are complicit, but also you've got to give a certain degree of lenience to how do they get that place shut down and stop that from happening to other people without outing themselves to the government and having one of the Paul Rudds end up under, or both of them, end up on
they probably wouldn't be able to confirm.
Yeah, end up on a lab table for the rest of their lives in some secret shady government basement with no trial.
Right.
Like, I feel like it's hard to judge them too harshly for not potentially risking themselves ending up on a lab table. Even if, I get it, they are complicit in not stopping this, but
I think it's an interesting philosophical question.
It's a tough moral quandary.
I don't know if I would call it mass murder, but then, I would argue that for the most part, these are people who are. No, I'm not going to get into that. But they maybe if they knew what was going on from the outset, if there was it is perhaps a consent issue. Yes. If you knew you're going to be dead, but we're going to replace you.
Oh no, that is 100% the difference between the transporter thing is people are not consenting to I will be replaced with a clone that is not me.
There we go. I thought it out on the spur while talking about it.
I think that it's not even the fact that people are dying that's necessarily the issue. It's the fact that people are dying without the opportunity to fully understand what they're committing to and to consent to that very big moral question. Because people have major opinions on that particular question. I don't know how I'd feel about it.
Well, this is probably why the FDA have a whole thing about human cloning.
Yeah. Yeah. Humans should not be cloned without their knowledge.
Yeah.
That's probably not good.
No.
Anything else I've watched? We saw a couple of things happen on a little stage at that night out we went to. Should we talk about the two things we saw on that little stage?
A very heavily pregnant Mother Goose.
Yeah, we saw a very heavily pregnant Mother Goose do a ballet dance. That then she laid an egg that was a balloon that was full of petals, and then she popped the petals and did a striptease. It was, I didn't know how to process what I was seeing.
It was a lot. And let's not forget, did a striptease, but kept the goose head
Oh
on.
yeah, of course. You've got to keep the mother goose head on, the big rubbery goose head.
goose head on.
Yeah, it's like those sort of like rubber horse masks you've maybe seen at conventions,
Yeah.
but the goose equivalent.
Mm-hmm.
And then we saw a lovely little puppet show.
We did.
About a man in a spaceship doing a lot of poetry on loo roll.
Okay.
No, do you disagree?
It was a man on the toilet writing something, feelings, thoughts, perhaps.
It said above the stage it was about a poet, so I assumed it was poetry that he
Okay.
was writing on the loo roll. Then he accidentally gets blasted out into the vacuum of space. And
Does he?
I thought that's what happened to the moon.
He's-
The moon rescued him and brought him back to the ship.
Okay.
That was my understanding. Do you want to talk
do
about
not
what
get
you...
that.
What did you take from it?
I didn't get the moon bit at all. I also didn't realise there was anything above the stage. It was just
There
focused
was a
on
piece of paper above the stage that said that it was about a moon poet and the moon who saves him. So I assumed that's what was
that
happening
would explain
with
the
the rescue.
flying bit.
Yeah. As I understood it, he basically accidentally got blasted out of his spaceship, and then the moon rescues him and brings him back.
And then he blasts off again.
Yeah, and then he flies off in the ship. It was
And then we had a nice chat with the puppeteer.
yeah, it was a really well done bit of puppetry from like a technical standpoint.
That was a really impressive marionette.
Yeah, the degree of manipulation over that puppet
There was a lot on it.
Yeah, it was a lovely bit of puppetry.
Yeah,
So
I
yeah.
love a puppet, but I've never got into marionettes.
Yeah.
It seems like something I would just fuck up really badly.
Oh, same. I would tangle that thing up in minutes.
Mhm.
Right then, should we move on to this?
Yeah. Laura, we've got a new sponsor!
Who's our new sponsor?
Well, do you have a computer?
I do.
Do you have a laptop?
I do.
How about a phone?
Yeah, I've got
Would
all
you
those
like to
things.
keep them safe, protect them from the world?
I probably should do that.
Probably should. How about the fact that most of those things include a certain degree of pre-installed, pre-existing protection?
My free virus checker that is free and I don't have to pay for, and
Yeah, but what if you were being constantly harassed by a series of pop-ups?
I mean, that is a reality. Like, it's not like my antivirus isn't doing its job, it's just shouting at me while it does it.
Like, what if you were upgrading? Or what if you had better antivirus? What if you had internet protection and VPNs and all sorts of other things, and there were things slowing down your computer? What if you could get rid of all of those things for a series of payments every month for each individual section of this thing?
I mean, honestly, all I really want to get rid of is that annoying pop-up that comes up. Will they get rid of that? The pop-up that tells me to pay money or it won't go away.
It will get rid of that one.
Well, that sounds good to me.
Yeah, like, don't worry about all the other pop-ups. It's fine. And the fact that they'll probably invent other problems for you to be concerned about. How about joining McGaffey?
McGaffey?
McGaffey! It's the antivirus that if you give them money, they'll stop showing you all the pop-ups telling you that you're being a cheapskate and that your computer might be in danger.
Might?
And there might be programs slowing your computer down.
Might?
Might! Imagine it. McGaffey. Do you want it?
I mean, I want to get rid of the pop-ups.
Head on over to McGaffeyAntivirus.lol.net and you can pay an extortionate amount of money, but with 15% off using the code QNPS96, because I remembered to look up what episode we were on this week. And you too could get some amount of money off an extortionate cost for McGaffey Antivirus.lol.net. And the code QNPS96.
26.
Oh look, there's a pop-up.
Oh.
Yeah. Just to remind you about the thing that
Just
I've
to
just
remind
said.
you about the sponsor.
Oh, and there's one on my phone, and your phone.
Oh, and there's one in the audio file somehow.
Ooh. Warning, your podcast is dangerously out of date. Inside the boardroom of Electronic Active Softworks.
Hi. How's business been today?
Not too bad. I just got back from that focus group.
Oh goodness, the that bit where we get consumers to tell us what they think about our games.
Yeah, I mean, we call them consumers, but frankly, they're just fans that we've brainwashed and just we're hoping to get a chance to see some of our stuff.
Exactly. We're not paying them like you're meant to do focus groups, but So, what did they say? We're doing perfect, right? Zero complaints. We've never done anything wrong.
I mean, that was my read, but also we did get some feedback. Let's have a
Oh,
look.
I don't like
here.
feedback.
Yeah, let me have a look. So, we've got some. They want us to make single-player experiences without microtransactions, and to treat our employees fairly and pay them properly.
That doesn't sound right to me. Why would
No.
we do any of that?
No, so I'm
none of
thinking-
that is profitable.
No. So what I'm thinking is we get another focus group in next week, and, we just keep getting them in until we hear what we want to hear. But also, we can, look over the data of what we've done so far. I mean, we are hugely profitable.
Yeah.
So I figure that we don't do those things.
Yeah,
We,
they're focus groups are an impression. They're a snapshot of what someone might think, but
yeah, and that
the
was
money
just like
doesn't lie.
exactly, and that was like 50 to 100 people that we had in, So
Yeah,
I mean,
that was like 20 minutes ago. The market may have changed by now.
exactly, and we have to consider the market.
Yeah, we gotta
it's not
consider the
fair,
market.
That we only consider the choices of 150 to 200 people.
Yeah, when the market is buying our stuff, and really, the market is the truest focus test of all.
Exactly. I mean, we shipped millions of units every year.
Yeah, so that's millions of people saying, we're doing it right, and that we shouldn't change a thing, and if anything, we should lean heavier into what we're doing.
Indeed. So, I mean, we're just going to completely ignore everything. We're going to keep making the microtransaction-filled multiplayer games, keep up the working conditions as they are, because I don't see any problems, and frankly, our employees don't ever complain. At least not for very long, right?
I saw that great bit in that Dark Crystal about sewing mouths shut. I really think it could catch on here.
You are a fucking genius.
I know.
So, what have you put in your ears? Or our collective ears?
Well, we, as we said, went for a night out and we heard quite a lot of music. There was a lot of live music happening.
Not
so
live music. I
should
mean,
we-
there was other music playing too, but I spent a lot of time just listening to the live stuff.
Honestly, yeah, I was digging the live music.
There
So
was so much Balkan beats that night.
yeah, where do we want to start on the band? Should we start with the one that we
Start
have
with
to?
Volcano, who was on first.
Oh yeah, Balkanoes. We've seen Balkanoes play
We
before.
have.
How would you describe their?
It's Balkan beats. Lots of very angry political music. With like that really good,
Yeah.
like bouncy, pogoing, high stepping.
Yeah. They
dance
definitely
music.
have some politically angry stuff because there's one song of theirs that they've played both times we've seen them. That's like I don't want to work, go to my job no more. I don't want to have my terrible job under the Tories no more, etc. I don't want to be so fucking poor. Like some good angry Balkan beats.
Mm-hmm.
I maintain that their bassist looks like he's trying to... Not only does he look like he's trying to fuck the bass, he looks like he's a sneaky gremlin in the background. Like,
Nobody has seen me fucking the bass.
Nobody's noticed that I'm fucking my bass.
We did notice. I considered offering them some lube for their face.
Whereas, like, the saxophonist looked like he wanted to fuck his saxophone, but he at least was, like, up front and, he wasn't hiding.
And then we had the trumpeter and the trombonist, the accordion player who was singing, and the amazing violinist.
Yes, and their person front and centre in the band, who every time I see him, I think he looks like, what's that actor's name who plays Professor X in the modern X-Men
McAvoy.
movies? James McAvoy?
Yep.
He looks like James McAvoy. And I think that every time I see him, I'm like, that's James McAvoy in a onesie. Which is a very odd feeling to have.
Just imagine James McAvoy in a onesie.
In like a sort of like white teddy bear onesie.
Playing a trumpet, dancing around like a loon.
Yeah.
And,
That's a pretty good approximation of Balkanoes.
yeah. or at least their trumpeter.
Yeah, it's a good band to have a good skank to sort of like
I like a good brass
have a good
section.
foot stamp.
Yes.
There's a lot of like,
Lots of high stepping now.
oh yeah, lots of sort of have your big high steps. We also saw another band that we should probably preface their name. Do you want to?
They're named after a place.
They're named after a place.
But that place also contains a slur.
Yeah, so the band's name is Gypsy Hill.
Yes.
So we're aware of the connotations of that
Which is
term.
a place in London.
It's a place in London.
It is. But they do play Balkan music. So.
Indeed. So it is what it is. But yeah, they were another very similar sort of like Balkan based band.
Mhm.
They had some there was definitely some ska influences in there.
Mhm.
There was a little bit of like surfer music stuff
Yes.
going on in places.
Yes,
Um,
they played Misery Low.
Yeah.
So you know it's a bit of surfer rock when
Yeah.
Misery Loon turns up.
It was a really interesting mix of like guitars, brass instruments,
Mhm.
and like a live scratch DJ.
Yes.
Um.
The DJ's really good.
Oh yeah, no, the whole band was really good.
Yeah.
They have an incredibly talented, like, precise sound.
Yes.
Like they must have practiced those tracks so much. They were not missing a fucking beat.
I think they tour a lot.
Yeah, like there are certain bands that like they play live and it's like this could be a recording, the precision with which you're doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was just impressive to see them play.
Yeah.
But yeah, they were really fun.
They were really
They
fun.
were really fun. They had a slightly the guys up the front of the stage had a slightly intimidating aura. Like I wouldn't want to mess with that band. Like I would be a little if all three of them started like approaching me as stern-faced as they were on stage in a dark alley, I might feel a bit unsettled.
Aw.
I was just a bit like, oh, you all seem so stern.
Stan.
So stern.
And then we went and saw Skeleton Crew.
Yeah, Skeleton Crew, who were the people who sort of played out the end of the night, weren't they?
Yeah. It again, it was sort of Balkan beats. Very. It was a bit more chill. But there was a little bit of we're trying to wear you out because it's the end of the night.
Yeah, they were going between like here's a little bit of like classical music.
We did a lot of waltzing in that
Yeah,
one.
it would sort of go back and forth between waltzing and then like here's something that's got a good stampy beat. Okay, now we'll let you rest. We'll do some waltzy stuff. Time to dance and dance and dance and dance again.
Mm-hmm.
It was definitely you're gonna leave at 6 a.m. feeling a bit ready for bed.
Mm-hmm. And we were. In fact,
we were indeed. Gosh, it was good to get into bed.
it sure was.
There's very few things that are as pleasant as getting home from an all night out and getting back into bed.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh. Was there anything else you want to mention from that night out?
Not from that night out. I have listened to one other thing.
Yeah.
I listened to there's a new Father Funk single.
Ooh.
Called Fluty Loops. Or Flute Loops.
Flute Loops.
Yeah.
Tell me about Flute Loops.
It's it's sort of good squelchy modern funk, that really squelchy electro sound.
Mm.
But with just like that like the really chilly trilly like jazz flute that
Yeah.
those sort of trilled notes. Yeah, it's really good.
Nice.
I do like a bit of Father Funk.
Father Funk's pretty good.
It's only about 25.
Oh heck.
Amazing music producers.
I listened to one more thing.
Mm.
Now that the year is over, and the decade is over, Spotify did their thing that they do every year where they go, here's a wrap-up of what you've been listening to this year, but also, here's what you've been listening to this decade. So, I've basically been going back and looking over my music tastes over the year. So, unsurprisingly...
There's a lot of MCR there.
Yeah, so... The summer, like, you can track my year pretty well by what I was listening to. The summer was Laura Jane Grace and the Devouring Mothers, because we were going to go see them, and Dessa, which we'll get there in a second. I believe my top 10 most listened to tracks this year were a 50-50 split between Dessa and My Chemical Romance. I think there's one other artist who got one track in there this year, but
Yay, well done.
so
For
yeah,
your honourable mention.
Laura Jane Grace and Dessa were my summer. Like, honestly, Dessa's album Chime is like by far my favourite album of this year, and the one that I keep recommending. Like, everyone go listen to it. It's really fucking creatively put together with really good sort of angry feminist themes to it. It's a heck of an album. In the fall, lots and lots of Miracle of Sound. I think that
Some of that was me.
I was going to say, Miracle of Sound this year made it to my 4th most listened to artist on Spotify, and I don't listen to Miracle of Sound on Spotify very often. I tend to do YouTube. I'm pretty sure your art streams got him up to my 4th listened, most listened artist of the year.
I have been using Miracle of Sound as background music for my streams. Because Gav said we could, and it's good when I'm doing draws.
Oh, indeed. So, yeah, my winter was My Chemical Romance, and My Chemical Romance was my artist of the year overall.
Understandable excitement.
I listened to at least 20 hours of My Chemical Romance, just the stuff that's on Spotify while I was online, not counting offline listening. And I wonder why that was, particularly in the winter, why I suddenly was listening to a bunch of My Chemical Romance, huh? Mayhaps it has something to do with the show happening this month, maybe. But yeah, my big artists this year, My Chemical Romance, Dessa was in number 2, Laura Jane Grace number 3, Miracle of Sound made it to number 4, which I think was largely you. And then Daniel Olsen, who is I believe the musician who did all the soundtrack for, what's that music-themed video game that I really enjoyed a couple of months ago?
Sayonara Wild Hearts.
Sayonara Wild Hearts. I'm pretty sure the Sayonara Wild Hearts soundtrack was good enough that it made it on my top 5 most listened artists of the year, even though it only came out in, like, October.
Jinkies.
So, yeah, that made an impression on my year. I was listening to it a lot, like, in the background while working, which I think helped. I think there's a couple of other bits that were notable. Apparently, my genres of choice were folk punk.
Nice.
There was some pop in there. Emo. Cat step, which I have no idea what that is as a genre. I need to Google that. What is cat step? It's a particularly aggressive filth step variation. Apparently that's a thing I listened to a lot this year. I don't know what songs fall into that genre. And antiviral pop. So, like, pop music that's not designed to be radio friendly, I guess? So I need to research those last 2 genres, because I didn't know there were things. Yeah, You're Killing Me by Remo Drive is the only track that made it my most played of the year that wasn't My Chemical Romance or Dessa. Which, you know, that says everything about what my year was, basically. So yeah, I think that's about it. So then, time for this.
My goodness, look, would you look at this? The telescope's lighting up. We're getting some sort of signal.
Goodness, have all of our years looking at the stars finally paid off?
I think we're making first contact.
My goodness.
Oh, the thing, it's flashing. Pick it up.
There we go. Hello?
Greetings, humans.
Hello. It's an honour to hear from you.
We are the Jazzlaw.
We are the humans.
Greetings. We're wondering, we're a parasitic life form.
Okay, you're a parasite, yes.
We understand that you are all suffering under the yoke of capitalism.
I mean, yes, capitalism is currently a bit of a blight on human society.
How would you like to accept a parasitic life form into your lives?
I mean, what are the pros and cons that we're gonna have if we accept a parasitic life form?
Well, we would burrow into your brains and slowly destroy you. But it would be completely painless, and you would have a full, satisfying life and a sort of sense of euphoria.
So what you're saying is that I can slowly be destroyed while feeling euphoric, and not have to deal with the overwhelming dread that is capitalism from day to day. Someone else will deal with all of that for me, and I just get to feel happy and coast through life on autopilot.
But if you want, you can explore the stars with us.
I mean, do I have any degree of autonomy left, or,
That will slowly decay, but you won't even notice.
How about this? If the Tories stay in and Trump gets back in, can I call you back and take you up on this?
Sure, take some time to think about it. We don't want to pressure you on anything.
Yeah, no.
Consent is important.
If things get much worse on this planet, I think I would probably, willingly take the option to just feel euphoric and get the hell away from this planet.
I mean, I'll take Brain Parasite now if it's... Is it an all or nothing thing?
I mean, we'll take some of you if you want, but it was a gift to all of humanity, so sort of put the word out if that's okay.
I'll let people... I think there'll be some people who'll get back to you. I'm crossing my fingers for the Tories to get knocked out, but we'll see how next week goes.
Thanks. Well, thanks for listening. We'll hear from you next week.
Hello, it is time to tell you the story. The story of Unicorn Dance Party.
Yay!
'Twas the bleak winter, 'twas cold, and capitalism was settling in, insisting many people buy things for each other.
Oh, no, boo!
It was cold, there was snow on the ground, people were miserable and sad, and the days were short and dark. The spirit of winter refused to move. He stood in the centre of the forest, loudly proclaiming that each person should buy multiple gifts until they had no money for food, no money to pay their rent, and that their landlords could then kick them out into the street. It was a terrifying time, but then the spirit of the woods came out majestically. Its glistening mane, its shining, sparkling horn, it was a being of pure beauty. It did little rainbow fart that fell into the snow as gumdrops, and wherever it stepped, flowers grew up from the hoof prints in the snow. Yay! And so the unicorn, majestic as it was, approached the spirit of winter. The spirit of winter was having none of this. It wanted to know why the unicorn was still so beautiful and so filled with joy and life. As the unicorn got closer and closer, it simply stared down the spirit of winter. It was having none of his bullshit. And then, in an instant, it turned on its front hooves, kicked swiftly back into the spirit of winter's testicles, and it went flying off. When the spirit of winter finally stood again, wheezing, panting, and about 3 octaves higher, they staggered off into the darkness. And as it left, the days started to become brighter. The snow started to thaw. The days became longer, and people rejoiced for the coming spring, the beauty of the flowers returning. And so the unicorn declared it shall be a party for all. All shall dance and celebrate in their own way. Each shall find joy and camaraderie in each other. No longer shall people be forced to spend so much money they cannot afford, but instead they shall give gifts of love and cuddles, but consensually. And so it was, the unicorn had the best party. And so, whenever it is cold and dark and a little sad outside, we remember by dressing as unicorns and dancing like loons.
Yay!
Question time, stuff questions.
What's the question?
So Tricky would like to say, Lichdom lies within your grasp. What object will become your phylactery, and where will you hide it?
Okay, so this is the thing that keeps me, alive and on this planet, right? What's the thing what my soul is?
It's used to store the
in?
souls and life force of liches.
Okay, do you know what you would keep your soul in?
A safe place, because then I would never find it again, and it'd be absolutely fine and safe, and no one would ever know where it was.
See, for you, I'd be something that you know where it is if you need it, your poi or something.
I could lose poi, or just decide to give them away at some point.
I suppose so. Where would I keep my soul?
So the point is that like you've got to protect it, I guess. So,
Yeah.
I think maybe you put it like in your office somewhere, maybe like on the bed, and then at some point things will be piled on it and moved off of it and piled on it and moved off of it, and then maybe you'll go to a convention and like you'll lay all the things out on top of it. Maybe it'll get moved. Maybe someone will come and visit and you'll do a bit of a tidy up and it'll get put to one side, and then you'll just completely lose track of it.
It'll be lost forever for
Be
all
lost forever,
eternity.
but no one will be able to do any harm to it.
I
So it'll be
suppose
absolutely
so.
fine.
Yeah, I feel like the key to something like that is put it like under a floorboard or something, or bury it at the bottom of the ocean, or like put it somewhere where it is immune to everything.
Yeah.
Brick it inside a wall.
Yeah. Put it in the boot of that Tesla that's rotating the Earth. But what would it be? What would be your phylactery?
I really don't know. I don't have a good answer for this. I'm sorry.
Nintendo GameCube. Those things are completely indestructible.
There we go. We're both putting our souls in GameCubes.
And then putting them somewhere safe.
Oh no, a Nokia 3310.
Ooh, 3210.
3210, sorry, yeah. Nokia 3210.
Although, Game Boy, they can restart...
Yeah.
Original classic Game Boy, you know, there's that one that
Yeah.
survived a bomb, so...
Yeah. Okay.
I feel like Nintendo or Nokia products have to be where you keep your soul if it's not going to be in you. Callum Turner,
Alright.
is there a piece of media that you 100% flip-flopped on? That you were so loving it and then BAM, you really disliked it? Or the other way around? Addendum to the question. This does not specifically have to be because an individual involved turned out to be a shithead.
Oh. That's usually the reason.
Isn't it?
Usually it's, oh, I really like, oh, you're a shitbag, I can't like this anymore.
I don't know about loved, but there's certainly things where, as a kid, I sort of enjoyed, and then as I grew up, I understood them better, and went,
Yeah.
not so much.
I know one for me that I hated the first multiple times I tried it and then ended up loving.
Mm-hmm.
The original Mass Effect. Mass Effect is one of my favourite series, like, trilogies of games, that trilogy. The first Mass Effect game, the first, 3-hour sequence, I tried it maybe, 5 times and just couldn't get into it. That's one that, I had to get over the hurdle and start, going off into space and making new space friends before it really clicked. I was like, this is just a third-person shooter, but in space. And I was like, yeah, but the friends I'm making along the way, though.
It's true.
Yeah. I think that's my answer.
That's a good answer. The only one I can think of that I really, really loved for a long time, and now completely hate, would be Rocky Horror.
Yeah.
When I was 4, I watched it almost constantly. But, I got older, I grew out of it. I mean, if you looked at me between the ages of, 4 and maybe 16... most of the albums I owned were variants of Rocky Horror. Some in other languages, live performances, different cast performances.
Yeah.
I had most things. I had books, I had songbooks, I had lyric sheets, I had, sheet music. I had a lot of things. I went to see it live a lot. But then, I grew out of it. I wasn't interested anymore. Maybe, in that many years I just worn it out. But then, actually coming out as trans and not needing an excuse to go out dressed as I choose. And then, obviously, all the shit with Richard O'Brien. And just thinking about the lyrics a bit more.
Yeah.
Just no, I really don't. I really don't like it. It's fine if other people want to, I guess. But please don't give any money to Richard O'Brien.
Oh, yeah. No.
And, yeah, I think that is my big flip-flop. And it's not just because of hating an individual person, I think.
That doesn't help, though.
Carpe Vita, 1. asks, if you had infinite financial resources, what would be your ideal queer and pleasant way to spend the holiday season?
Oh, ideal, infinite time and money and resources.
Mhm. I would get a jet-powered sleigh with a unicorn pulled by animatronic unicorns, and I would fly around the world giving out checks to pay for people to have all their trans surgeries.
I mean, that's a pretty good way to spend the day.
Right.
Why stop at trans surgeries? Just we'll throw out checks to all the homeless people as well. Just everyone in need.
Yeah.
We will do the Santa thing, but actual money for people who need it.
That's great. And then I will hurl rocks at billionaires.
Yes.
That'll be it. Do the billionaires get coal for UDP? No, not quite. I literally hurl rocks at their heads.
Yes. And then we'll go home and chill out in a jacuzzi that we now have.
I mean, I've never been in a jacuzzi, but sure.
Sure. Or I don't know, a ball pit that's tall enough that we can be sort of neck high in ball pit balls.
Wow, that sounds interesting. I wouldn't mind trying that. Yeah. I can't think about hot tubs without remembering the phrase nasty sex pond. Because someone mentioned it like a few years ago to me and I'm like, oh god, I cannot unhear that now.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go. We'll get in the nasty sex pond. Crimson / vote Labour. Good call. Don't forget to vote Labour 2 days before this episode comes out. 3 days. 3 days before this episode comes out. If you could have any Pokemon as a pet, what would it be?
Oh, a Mimikyu, because it just needs to be loved.
Does just need to be loved.
You just need to be loved.
Bulba friend, because Bulba is best baby.
Charmander, because it has been abandoned and it needs to be loved.
Do you think it's responsible to keep a Charmander in the UK? It rains a lot.
Oh, you keep it indoors. It's like a house cat.
Is it fair and reasonable to keep a Charmander in the house?
I don't know. If it starts to rain, I will put it back in its Pokeball. Like, it's not like, oh no, it's raining. There is zero situation for how to protect this Charmander. It's gonna die now. I have a built-in way to get it somewhere safe and dry.
Bethany Turner, do you have a favourite song ever? And if so, what is it?
Oh, depends on when you ask me, is the problem with this.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. I think there are two that come to mind, depending on what sort of mood I'm in. There's Fast Car by Tracy Chapman that's always been, like, one that I've really loved.
Yeah.
Or The Jet Set Life Is Gonna Kill Ya by My Chemical Romance is just... they're two very different tracks that, depending on the day, I might say either of them. Except there's now a bunch of other tracks I want to say. I'm no good at picking
let's
up
have
favourite
Let's have a
songs.
list. Let's have a list of some of your top ones.
Some of me top ones. Fast Car by Tracy Chapman, My Chemical Romance, there's a handful of stuff I would throw out there. The Jet Set Life, maybe Fake Your Death, Na Na Na, I really love. Other than that, I'd maybe put something by Dessa, something like Fire Drills, maybe 5 out of 6 have been real big ones I've loved recently. Something by Nowhere, maybe something like Creative Drug by Nowhere, perhaps.
Mm-hmm.
Goodness, these are the ones that are jumping to mind. What about you?
Oh god, this is really tough. The only two that are immediately leaping to mind are Celebrate and Rejoice by Gav and Jet Black Dress.
Yeah,
because they're both like really upbeat, banging tunes.
Yeah, they're both real good.
Mm-hmm. Those are the only two that are coming to my mind immediately. That I've listened to recently enough that I could continue to justify my support. Therefore, it gets harder.
Yeah, that's fair. I might throw in there Gerard Way, get the gang together, because that is the track what I got pulled up on stage to play tambourine with him to, and that has really good positive associations.
Mm-hmm. Hi Job asks, what is the best Christmas memory you ever have?
Probably the Christmas that I was given a CD player that had a built-in, very tiny black and white telly.
Oh wow.
is only 3 inches by 3 inches,
Yeah,
4
but
by
still.
3. Tiny little black and white telly that you could tune into the terrestrial channels with a long aerial that pulled out of it. But it had composite cable things in the back, so you could do your red, yellow, white cables in the back. And I remember this was the first time I had a TV of my own, and I would sit and play GameCube games in black and white, fuzzy, barely tuned in, tiny screen, you could barely see what was happening, but I could play my video games in my own room so I wasn't disturbing anyone else.
Yay!
And that was a revelatory moment of, I can play video games and no one's going to shout at me because they want the TV for something else and I'm getting in the way. And that sort of meant, I could do my hobby whenever I wanted and not be an inconvenience. And for a lonely kid, that was a real moment.
Yeah.
What about you?
I have no good Christmas memories.
I suspected that might be the answer. Do you have any favourite UDP memories you'd like to share?
Not even the UDP. This was probably pre-UDP. I had we aren't celebrating, we don't celebrate, but there's a bunch of us, do you want to have dinner together? Day.
Yeah.
With our friends from nearby. A few years ago, I think there was... Oh God, I think by the end of the day, I think there was about 15 of us. Yeah. We had a lovely dinner, including chili garlic sprouts, which were amazing. And then slowly got more and more drunk and played board games throughout the day.
Yeah.
It was really nice. It was the first time... I think it was the first time I'd had a group of people doing supportive all together thing.
Yeah.
So that was nice.
Yeah. Do you mind if I share a story in that sort of vein? There was a year where my family were all away at that time of year, and it was probably a first time that had been a thing for me, and I was feeling quite alone at that time of year. I was not with family, and similarly, I went and did a go be with some really nice friends, and just sort of spend the day together, having a nice time and being all supportive and having a good meal together and doing a friends festive, not explicitly Christmas, but happened on that day thing, and that was really lovely and meant a lot to me. So yeah.
Also, we have really good UDP parties now.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, we do. We're starting our own traditions with Lego and presents and hugs and nudity.
Yeah.
Unicorns.
And the lack of sobriety.
Yeah. Calendry, we'd like to know, when was the last time you stayed awake for several days at once?
Several days.
Yeah. Gosh, it's been a while.
Yeah. The one that jumps to mind was when I had to review Ni no Kuni when it first released, and I stayed awake for about 40 hours playing through that game without stopping, and then wrote my review before I fell asleep.
Wowza.
That was a good couple of days.
Mm-hmm.
I've done the stay awake all day, then a whole night, then the whole next day. I've done 2 days.
Yeah.
A few times.
Yeah, I'm thinking probably nights when I've gone out to raves, that sort of thing.
I've had ones where I've gone multiple days with barely any sleep, with little bits here and there, but not much. I've done probably when I went and saw three of Gerard Way's tour dates back to back, where I basically camped out the night before, did the show, went straight from that venue to the next venue, tried to sleep outside that venue, next show, travelled on to next venue, where I was getting a few fragmented hours of sleep outside buildings a few nights, but that was about it.
I think the last time I deliberately stayed up for multiple days was I was having a bit of a flap about being unemployed.
Yeah.
I think I'd been out of work about 9 months at this point, and the job centre were like, "Are you really trying?"
Oh, that.
We're going to send you on this was when they were talking about first sending me on the, I think the 2-week job hunting course.
Yeah.
Because apparently I was incapable. Before being sent on the 13-week one, several weeks later.
Ah.
I stayed up, I think for like 2.5 days. I stayed sat in the same chair in pretty much the same position and applied for about 120 jobs.
Yeah.
Most of them I wasn't qualified for, but, I wasn't going to take people say, just
Yeah.
be 80% qualified for a thing.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, I'm willing. Surely that's enough to start.
I have had over the years a couple of times where I've not slept for a couple of days because obsession brain doing bad thing, but that was less deliberate and more no, can't stop brain obsessing.
Yeah, I think this was a bit obsessive. And then I got sciatica because I barely moved for 3 days. Just sat in this chair. I could barely stand for weeks. I've got better. I got better.
I'm glad you did.
Arachnovolt asks, what's the most unnecessarily difficult thing you've ever done? Does solving the X2 count?
I think that totally counts. You've described the X2 on here before, haven't you?
Yes, I have.
A Rubik's Cube that is shaped like a 3-dimensional letter X.
Yeah, it's like, if you imagine like a 3x3x3 cube,
Yeah.
and then make that like 3x3x7, and then it's an X instead of a straight line.
Yeah, like 4 of the faces you extrude out by 2 extra cubes, and it's
a lot.
It's a terrifying shape-shifting nightmare.
Yes, it is. But I've come to enjoy it.
Most needlessly complicated thing I've ever done?
Shiny hunting?
Unnecessarily difficult? Yeah, probably shiny hunting. I'm up to like 18 shinies in Sword now.
Yeah, but I think like the 400 hours you put into
I'm coming up on 200 hours in Sword already.
Wowza, McJinkies.
Like, granted, a lot of that has been the game just running on my desk while I'm doing other work.
Yeah.
And like, I'm sort of just, I encountered, every now and then I'll look down, I encountered something, I guess I'll
have that
fight. It's probably not all been proactive, but my in-game clock says 200 hours nearly.
Becky Toohill. Hi, Becky.
Hi.
What are your nostalgia foods that taste like happy memories?
Nostalgic foods. Karamak, the terrible sort of sort of like caramelish flavoured, not chocolate, but it's sort of looks like it's supposed to be a chocolate bar, but it tastes of just like overly sugary caramel. That makes me really nostalgic because it reminds me of being a teenager, being a skate guard at a roller disco, where my mum used to get me something for the vending machine at the end of the night after I finished skate guarding before taking me home, and I would always get a Karamak. And that just brings me back to being like 14 and skating around, like basically shouting at children not to punch each other on the skate circle. Basically being the skating police.
Oh no. But you're not ACAB.
No. It's purely going like, hey, don't fucking punch people, that's not nice.
Don't be a twat.
Hey, don't skate so fast that you knock over the small children. That's a dick move. What about you? Got any nostalgic
I now
foods?
love I want to see skate cop anime.
I mean,
just like the skate guard standing at like in the middle or at the side of the roller rink, and then just like all this internal monologue about like the mean rink.
I reckon that'd be a thing that could exist.
I'd watch the shit out of that show. Lucy would like to know, what is your favourite tactile sensation?
Oh, I've got so many. There are so many good tactile sensations. Have you got a particular one for this?
I like stroking my beauties.
Oh, heck. I like the particular sort of soft that kind of. I've got a
ultra soft stuff.
I've got an ultra soft little blue
Is that
bear.
I got you?
Yeah, he's ultra soft. He's so soft.
He's so soft.
He's very good soft. Butts are a good tactile sensation. Grabbing a butt is a good tactile sensation.
Indeed, consensually grabbing a butt.
So I suppose like that's not necessarily like touch textures. It's like touch-based feelings. Just walking barefoot on nice soft grass on a really sunny day, or similarly stepping on like good temperature sand, like soft sand.
Mm.
Just like good underfoot textures are underappreciated. Walking on
I think most people
good
spend so
surface.
much time with shoes on
Yeah,
that you don't really get to appreciate
Oh,
not
just-
carpet
just-
feeling.
sort of twiddling your toes in the grass is a really nice feeling.
Shit, I had one now. I've lost it.
I've got one. Getting back into bed after a rave.
Oh god.
Oh, just nothing feels more tactile.
Just so
pleasurable
pleasant to just
than
rest
just-
your body in that. Just like
Rest your body and like the softness of the bed feeling a bit heightened.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, another rave-based one. Sweaty back.
Oh.
I love massaging a really hot, sweaty back. I know a lot of people are going to be like, ew, but like, it's nice.
Getting into the ball pit at the rave. We go to a rave with a ball pit and it's real good.
It's
That ball pit's a real good texture sensation at that time of the night.
Basin asks, is Unicorn Dance Party on the 21st or the 25th of December? It's not on any day.
It's
specifically.
whenever you want it to be.
It's whenever you feel like dressing up as a unicorn and dancing around like a loon.
I think many people celebrate it on, say, the 25th, for example, or, you know, they might pick a day that another celebration is happening and go, I'm going to celebrate UDP on.
We very often
This
celebrate it on New Year's.
Yeah, well, this is it. Like, there's not only one date that we do UDP, we'll often do multiple UDPs during the UDP season.
I generally consider UDP to be like all of December.
Yeah.
Which is why when Becky was like, when open present, I was like, well, it's UDP now, so pretty much any time you want now.
Yeah. Well, like, we went to this rave recently,
Yeah.
and I think that was the start of our UDP.
I dressed as a unicorn, I danced like a loon.
I
think that covers
had
it.
a unicorn hoodie on. I also
Yeah.
danced like a loon.
Yeah.
We'll probably do something on the 25th. We might do something on the 31st.
Yeah, the reason those days particularly are those are our days off. So
Yeah, exactly. It's days we have off, and it saves us sitting around going, everyone else is doing something today.
yeah. I mean, we can still have a big dinner.
Well, that's it.
Hayley Snaily, I have a question. No, several questions. What are your favourite pictures of yourselves and why?
Oh, my favourite selfie of the last couple of years is that one that I took in the green room of the BBC.
Mm-hmm.
It's the one that's on my Wikipedia page. That I took just before going on, I think it was the Victoria Derbyshire programme to talk about Doki Doki Literature Club. I think it was that time that was on the telly.
Is that the one where you've had your hair done a bit and you look a little bit stunned?
It's currently not on there. That's because they... Okay.
They've edited it again.
I can do it again. It's the one where my hair's looking particularly blue and I've got a little bit of a purple lanyard around my neck.
I think I know one.
I'm wearing the black dress.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's probably the most I've liked my appearance in a picture in a long time.
Mine would probably be one that flashed up on my Facebook the other day. It was just after surgery, so I'd lost quite a lot of weight before that. And I was wearing this suggestion of a top. You know, the red one?
Yeah.
I owned that top for like 2 months before I worked out how it was supposed to be put on. It took me until I went, oh, those are buttons! And I was like, oh, that ties up behind your neck and that just about covers my nips. And that's fine. I got that on and I had like a green stripe straight
Oh, is this
across
the one
my
where you've got the
eyes.
flogger in the picture?
Not the one where I've got the
it's-
flogger, but it was taken on that same day.
Yeah,
I was standing in the hallway, so I had like perfect white behind me and like daylight coming down from
Oh,
above.
we took some good pictures on that day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I quite liked that outfit because I'm not wearing very much, and I quite liked how I looked, which was nice. What characters and or settings would you like to see get a video game that do not have a video game?
I would love to see... I know that I talk about My Chemical Romance way too much. I would love to see a video game set in, like, the world of the Na 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 music video. Just, like, neon and, basically taking...
Fighting fascism.
Yeah, fighting fascism and corporatism with neon lasers and rock music in the back of a beat-up car.
Sounds good.
Yeah,
I'll be up for that.
give me a game that's in like the Rage 2 engine or the Mad Max video game engine, just covered in neon, or I could drive around in a car and beat up all of the corporations that are doing fascism.
Mm-hmm. What is your favourite geometric shape, and why is it the noble hexagon?
I mean, the hexagon's pretty good.
It is pretty good, but I do prefer icosahedrons.
I like a triangle. They're nice and
Ooh,
simple. They're
they
just...
Icosahedron, lots of triangles.
I suppose so.
Hypercubes. I really like hypercubes.
Oh, hypercubes are great. I like just a simple equilateral triangle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Big up the Tesseract, though. What plant would you be most alarmed to find out was sentient? Like, any of them? Any of the ones I eat regular soy?
Oh, God. Sweet corn, because that would be worse, because not only would you be eating a sentient thing, but it's surviving through to the other end.
Oh, one of the vegan groups I'm in the other day was like scientists discovered that plants make like this ultrasonic scream when they're like cut or damaged.
Yeah.
It's like, I mean, at this point, there's nothing a vegan can comfortably eat.
Yeah, you've got to draw your line where you can. I know that grass, when grass is cut, releases a chemical to warn other grass that like something dangerous is happening. Like, not that the grass can do anything about it, but the grass can at least be scared in its final moments.
Yay? No, not yay. The opposite of yay. That is all of the questions.
Well then,
Time for this.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I want to see more of?
What do you want to see more of?
Social justice warriors.
Social justice warriors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Larry. All right, Barry. How you doing? I'm not too bad, mate. Not too bad. I've been having a bit of a think this week.
Ooh, what you been pondering, mate?
And what have I been pondering? Well, yeah, I've been on social media this week a bit, as you do, as one does.
Yeah.
And I've seen a lot of people who've been doing their sort of how my decade's been posts, sort of summing up the year, summing up the decade, going like, oh, I did this, that, and the other, and here's how my life's better than it was before. And
Yeah, I did one of those myself, actually. I was having a bit... Initially, I was like, well, not really a lot's happened. But actually, when I took the time to think about it, actually quite a lot had happened.
Yeah,
Not all of it good. I mean, obviously, I wasn't putting all the bad stuff up there, but...
Well, that's the thing. Generally, when people put these lists together, it's much the way that social media is. You sort of put the good out and you keep the bad away. But
Yeah.
sometimes you have the thing that I've had a little bit, where you look at all these people sharing their big lists of all positive things that have happened, and it can feel a little bit overwhelming. It can be a bit like, oh, well, I actually had quite a mixed decade. I had, your goods and your bads, perhaps. And
I think everyone does.
yeah, and it's it can be easy to look at that and go, oh, have I not done enough with my decade? Have I, squandered it, or am I, not making any progress? And I think ultimately, it's important to keep that in context. That people are, only put the good out. They don't talk about the bad generally in that. But on top of that, like, everyone's life ebbs and flows,
Absolutely.
You have your periods where lots changes. You have your periods of time where, things might be a bit more just sort of treading water. And
Yeah.
if all you've done this decade is tread water and keep going, there's nothing wrong with that. You've survived. You've kept going. You've continued to get through life, which is in and of itself an accomplishment.
Oh, absolutely. And I think, were we looking at a decade or more ago for that, like, what am I thankful for in this time?
Yeah.
What has changed for me? It would be a considerably shorter list and probably tinged with a lot less happiness.
Yeah.
But, I think it is important to, take time occasionally, as I say, to count your blessings.
Yeah.
Because, I don't know, like, how it is for you, but certainly I can get very much stuck in the depressed brain and only thinking, it's awful, all the bad things that have happened. So sometimes take, like a group exercise, as this is, to say, what essentially is
What am I thankful for?
What am I thankful for
essentially, yeah.
at this time?
It's
Taking the time to just reflect on that can actually reveal maybe more than you expect.
More than you maybe thought about. You're like, oh yeah, I forgot that. You know, it's
absolutely.
nice to catalogue the things that you might look back in your life and go, oh yeah, me of years ago would have killed for that to have happened.
Yeah. Also, I think like the younger you are, the perhaps there is less opportunity for much expansion to have happened. You know, someone in there sort of who has just had their 30s to 40s might be saying one thing, and somebody who's who perhaps finished high school within this decade and is just taking their first steps out into the job market, especially at this fucking time. Finding it all a bit more intimidating and scary, and perhaps they are able to achieve this, and I can understand why that might be a bit of a sticking point to ponder on, and you can't compare yourself to other people.
Yeah, well, I think that's it. There certainly is a benefit to taking some time to stop and count your blessings and try and see the positives that you have had over time, but equally don't get too hung up on comparing yourself to others, because everyone's life's different and moves at different paces, and you're only gonna upset yourself if you start going, well, I haven't done what this person's done.
Yeah, and everyone is on their own journey, and everyone will have different opportunities come up, and a lot of opportunities in life are to do with luck. So do try not to get too hung up on those things, because everyone is achieving different things at different times, and you don't know how another person sees you. You could be absolutely inspirational to someone else who is in a different situation, and whatever you put in such a list, or what you consider might go in such a list, could be completely different and mean a lot to you or to someone else.
Yeah. Sure.
I would be very up for that, mate. Good luck, mate. Good luck. Shall I pop the kettle on?
Yeah, have a decaf cup of tea.
Oh yeah, before bed.
Time for bed.
Yeah. So,
Laura,
Yes?
where can we find you on the internet, darling?
You can find me at Laura K. Buzz in most of the places. Laura K. Buzz on Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube. You can find me on Patreon at Laura K. Buzz. That's what pays the bills. If you can chuck me $1 a month, or more if you can, but as little as $1 a month, it really adds up and makes a huge difference. Other than that, you can find everything I publish at laurakbuzz.com, be it written articles, videos, or podcasts. I've got some books. Uncomfortable Labels, it's about being trans and on the autism spectrum, and it's out now where books are sold, or as an audiobook from laurakbuzzstore.com. There's Things I Learned from Mario's Butt, that is coming out in October 2020 for people who get it in a shop when it's released. You can get it a bit sooner if you go on Unbound and put some money down for it. That'll be happening. It's a coffee table book with illustrations of silly and serious video game character butt reviews with a bunch of interesting guest critics and developers that have shared things for it. Other than that, there is Pixel Squirt, which is a video game pornography review show that I do with Mari and Stacey from the Geek Remix YouTube channel. And Dice Funk, it's a Dungeons & Dragons podcast. I'm on seasons 3, 4, 5, and 6. Each season is a self-contained story. It's a real play podcast, so we play D&D while being a bit silly and then having feelings. Season 3 is about a bunch of people trapped in a mirror, like a magical mirror prison town with a big rainbow barrier. Season 4 is about overthrowing capitalism. Season 5 is adventures in space against colonialism. And Season 6 is a bunch of people going and doing murder assassinations, and maybe the end of the world is at stake. What about you, Jane?
Me.
You.
Me. I am Janiac, Janeiac. I can be found as Maniac Janiac on Twitter and YouTube. I'm Stoned Monkey Radio on Patreon and stonedmonkeyradio.blog. and Jane Eris Magnet on SoundCloud, where you may be listening to this. I'm also on twitch.tv/Janiac and paypal.me/JaneMagnet. Those are the important ones. Those pay the bills. And I want to do a thank you to the people who have paid me money.
Thank those people.
I will thank them. I will name them all next time because I haven't had a proper output, and I know there is a new person, and I want to thank them all. Thank you all, including new person.
Yeah.
So, thank you very much for joining us, Laura. Mama.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sing us out, darling.
Until next time, be a stranger.
I will.